The regular meeting of the Aurora City Council for Monday, October 10, 2022 is called to order. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mayor Kaufman.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Bergen.
Here.
Councilmember Coombs.
Present.
Councilmember Gardner. Councilmember Gardner. Councilmember Drinsky.
Here.
Councilmember Lawson.
Here.
Councilmember Mercano.
Present.
Councilmember Medina.
Here.
Councilmember Murillo.
Present.
Councilmember Sundberg.
Here.
And Councilmember Zvonek.
Here.
There's a quorum.
Announcement of the call-in line.
Mayor, unfortunately, the call-in line is not here. Please go on.
Mayor, we do have the Spanish interpretation available.
Well, okay. I think somebody needs to read the English interpretation too.
Yes.
Buenas tardes. El Consejo Municipal de la Ciudad de Aurora da la bienvenida a la opinión de sus habitantes y otros vecinos en asuntos comparecientes en la agenda y durante la invitación a la audiencia pública. Por favor, llame al número de teléfono 877-820-7831 y al conectarse ingrese el código 254610 seguido de la tecla numeral. De allí espera para hablar con la persona que al llegar su turno interpretará su comentario en inglés. La operadora tomará su nombre y el asunto a presentar ante el Consejo y le pondrá en espera. Las personas han de esperar al anuncio de la invitación a la audiencia pública o hasta que les ceda tiempo para tratar un tema específicamente en la agenda de hoy y al ser llamado por el funcionario encargado. Va a depender del volumen de llamadas para que se conecte a la operadora, así que por favor sea paciente y permanezca en la línea. Gracias.
Mayor, looks like they are back on, so we can do the announcement for the call-in line.
Aurora City Council meeting. Thank you for joining tonight's Aurora City Council meeting. City Council welcomes feedback from the public on both matters appearing on the agenda and during public invited to be heard. If you would like to speak and have not already spoken to an operator, please press *3. For those watching on Channel 8, call 855-695-3475 and press *3 when connected. You will hear a prompt confirming you are in line to speak to an operator. And when the operator comes online, please be ready to give them your name and agenda item you wish to speak on. Keep in mind you must press *3 before the city clerk reads the title of the item you wish to speak on. Finally, as a reminder, council does not allow comments on any items on the agenda during public invited to be heard. Each speaker is allowed 3 minutes. Thank you.
A moment of silence for the people of Ukraine who have suffered under Russian aggression. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Executive session update. Personnel matters were discussed. Approval of the minutes for September 26, 2022.
Mayor.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Motion to approve the minutes from September 26th.
Moved by the Mayor Pro Tem, seconded by
Murillo.
Councilmember Murillo to approve the minutes of September 26, 2022. Discussion. Seeing no discussion, call for the question on the approval of the minutes.
Mayor Kaufman.
Mayor votes yes.
The motion passes to approve the September 2022 council meeting minutes.
Okay. Before I read the proclamations, a proclamation, I want to read the land acknowledgement. City of Aurora acknowledges that we gather on the territories and ancestral homelands of the Cheyenne, Ute, Arapaho, and Lakota peoples, past and present. We also recognize the 48 contemporary tribal nations that are historically tied to the lands that make up the state of Colorado. Indigenous people have remained committed to the stewardship of this land over many centuries. As these words of acknowledgement are spoken and heard, the ties that these nations have to their traditional homelands and to their vital place in the ecosystem are renewed and reaffirmed, and we are called to be better stewards of the land we inhabit as we continue to work to meet the needs of our entire community. I have a proclamation. Whereas many blind, visually impaired persons move self-reliantly on our public streets, roads, and at places of public accommodation using their white canes or guide dogs, and whereas the white cane, which every blind citizen has a right to carry, is a safety instrument that demonstrates and symbolizes the ability of blind people to achieve a full and independent life, their ability to travel independently, and their capacity to work productively in competitive employment, and whereas Colorado's white cane law is the right to open access to public places and protections from discrimination based on blindness or visual impairment, and whereas Colorado law calls upon employers, both public and private, to be aware of and utilize the employment skills of our blind citizens by recognizing their worth as individuals in their productive capacities. And whereas the state of Colorado and the city of Aurora, through their public agencies and with the cooperative assistance of the National Federation of the Blind of Colorado and its local chapters, can and should facilitate the expansion of employment opportunities for and greater acceptance of blind persons in the competitive labor market. And now, therefore, I, Mike Coffin, Mayor of the City of Aurora, do hereby proclaim October 15th, 2022 as White Cane Awareness Day and encourage Aurorans to recognize that persons with disabilities have much to offer, and their energy, creativity, and hard work can greatly strengthen our city and our economy. A witness whereof I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the city of Aurora, Colorado to be fixed this 10th day of October 2022. Dale Holland, is Dale Holland here? I'm here. Okay, can you make it down here where I can give you this? Or? I'm going to come over here.
Yes.
And come over here. So I'm going to give you the proclamation. And do you have anything you'd like to share with us? Oh, fantastic.
You want me to face this way?
Sure.
Mayor Kaufman, member of the City Council. It is my pleasure as treasurer of the Aurora chapter of the National Federation of the Blind of Colorado to thank the City of Aurora for recognizing October 15th as White Cane Awareness Day, and by extension recognizing the normality and the capacity of people who are blind. Blindness, in our view, is not a word or a term that denotes shame or helplessness. And when we say the word blind, we want people to start to think about the fact that it means anybody who has a very significant visual disability. It's not that there's people, blind should no longer mean that you are totally blind and, as some people like to say, in the dark. There are many blind people. I'm in a minority of a minority, I being totally blind, but lots and lots of blind people have a little bit of vision. I like to say almost enough to be dangerous. So thank you to you all and the City of Aurora for helping us to recognize the value and the symbolism of the white cane by declaring October 15 as White Cane Awareness Day. Thank you.
Public invited to be heard.
Yes, Mayor, we have a few individuals. Shonda Schumpert, followed by Dale Kranz. Shonda, are you here?
Hello, my name is Shonda Schumpert, and I live in Aurora in the Aurora Public School District. I have a very daunting question that I would like to ask. How would you feel about allowing your 6-year-old to walk to school after learning there are 77, yes, 77 sex offenders living within the 1.25 miles between home and school? That's the reality that I'm facing right now. I have custody of my 3 beautiful grandchildren. Julia is the oldest, and she's in 1st grade. Per the district's guidelines, there are no designated bus stops near our home because we live within the 1.25 miles of the school. I have had 4 surgeries in the last 12 months, 3 total right hip replacements, 1 left knee replacement that I'm currently recovering from as we speak. I do not currently own a car, and I can't make the 1-mile round-trip walk twice a day to and from school. That leaves me with 2 options: allow my 6-year-old to walk to school alone, or do what I've been doing, which is pay for an Uber 4 times a day out of my only income, which is disability. I'm a retired nurse. I know that I am not the only parent or guardian faced with this issue, considering nearly 75% of the students in the district are on free or reduced lunch. I've been working with an advocate at A Precious Child who reached out to the district on my behalf to see if there was any assistance or solutions that they could offer. The email that she received back in reference to that on 10/7 this past Friday, on behalf of the school district, the school district's transportation department stated, "We are unable to provide bus services for her granddaughter, Julia. While we empathize with Shonda's situation, we don't have the human or capital resources available to provide special curb-to-curb service for Julia, since her home is located within the designated walking distance from Lansing Elementary School." This is a safety issue, not just for my granddaughter, but for all the children in the neighborhood and across the district. Is the city gonna wait until one of those kids get hurt or go missing before something is done about bus stops and buses? We should be preemptive, not reactive, in finding a solution. Even offering transportation vouchers similar to the free and reduced lunch program would be a big help to guardians such as myself.
Shonda, your 3 minutes is up.
Please give me your contact information, and I'll follow up.
Thank you.
Next, we have Dell, Oksana, Hayes, and Matthew.
I'm sorry, is this related to something that is on the agenda tonight?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you. Please
We have
proceed.
a long 12-minute speech that is have to divide up into 4 pieces because.
They each get 3 minutes to speak.
Very well. Please proceed.
Okay.
You're up first.
Sorry, this is my Ukrainian accent. So I do not know everything about this case, but I just want to protect our neighborhood from all this problem what Kings Point North developed for us. So we will be talking about the King Point North development by Oakwood Homes. Oakwood Homes is currently planning to put a 4 or possibly 6-lane road across the northern border of the Valley High subdivision where we live. So Matt will show you on the map, so will be more visualized and better understanding what we are going to talk about.
You live down here, the road is going right here.
It is project 1643306, development application DA 160922. Was never supposed to be happen like this. This has been in the works for the last 35 years, and in the late 1980s, much good work was done by planners and the city building department to change the zoning and mitigate damage to surrounding communities and bring everybody into agreement. Molly Tomasz was the lead planner at the time. She worked diligently to get all the surrounding communities on board with the plan. We spoke to Ms. Tomasz. She is not retired. She is now retired, but still lives in the area. And she is quite surprised at the way things have turned out. Here she is speaking at the March 28, 1988 City Council meeting. Molly Tomasz commented on the list of homeowner associations she has worked with on this proposed project with attached signatures. Some representatives from Chenango, Antelope, Arapahoe Heights, Travis Filling Number 3, Valley High, Sierra, Vista Travis, and Craigland Acres were present. Through negotiations, they have created a 25 to 50-foot landscape buffer all the way around the the perimeter of the property. In most cases, they used 1-acre lot buffers and tried not to affect the lifestyle of the present residents. The land use plan has been developed through negotiations. And she wrote something similar in a letter to your building department in case file 87-2036. In that March 28, 1988 City Council meeting, the Valley High representatives supported this, and we did so again in case file 87-2036. Here's a city building department quote. From the same case file 87-2036, compatibility to all adjustment neighborhood.
Your 3 minutes is up.
Oh, sorry.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Dale Kranz, and I live in the Valley High subdivision on the on the Douglas and Arapahoe County line. In March 1988, the development guidelines in Building Department case number 87-2036 has precise details of everything that was agreed to by the developers at that point in time. And that's crucial because that's when the annexation agreements were made and agreed to by all parties. They were approved in 1988, plan reception number 297478490. As I said, they are also detailed in the city's own annexation agreements from 1988, Book 5496, page 174, and Book 5496, page 186. Note that the Aurora Parkway is well separated from Valley High in this plan. Those annexation agreements run with the land and were in full force in 2002 when the city swiped away everybody's hard work and in doing so breached its own agreements to which it is bound. The city also approved city also approved this. And this is a zoom view of the plan with the road moved directly adjacent to Valley High, contrary to what had been worked out 14 years prior. The city attorney should have tossed it back, but presumably because of human error, they did not. The city may have litigation liability, but that's another discussion. Also note the masonry mitigation between the road and Valley High. This is what we've been relying on to protect us for 20 years. Then in a WebEx meeting, Oakwood happened to manage that they decided not to build this wall, and apparently the building department is going to let them get away with it. We were shocked. When we complained about this to Oakwood, their attorney said, well, we should have done our due diligence. We were depending upon an agreement that had been in place for over 20 years already. So there really wasn't a lot of other due diligence to be done. We are now spending thousands of dollars of our own money in attorney's fees, and we have a definite loss of property value, and the city has breached their own agreements from 2002, and the building department simply doesn't care or didn't know at that time in contrast to what they did in the 80s. I will remind you that Oakwood Homes is a beneficiary of this zoning change from an agricultural open field to suburban use. Valley High supported that change at that point in time according to the guidelines that I've referred to earlier in my talk. But we seem to be able to not able to hold them to the aspects of their agreement, but they are still benefiting. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Hayes Redmond. I'm a homeowner in Aurora and a business owner in Aurora. I live in Valley High, though, and I work in Aurora. So we have learned that unlike the developers of the 1980s who worked with the surrounding communities, Oakwood is not going to do anything they don't have to do, and this behavior is disingenuous. They're using their 2002 plan. You're using the 2002 plan that was in breach in the first place as an excuse to not make changes to the road when they have made numerous other changes such as the golf course positioning and deletion of the masonry mitigating wall. They actually told us they couldn't move the road because it has to line up with Parker Road and E470. When the road starts north, it dips too far south and slides back north, and then it has to run south again to cross E470. But that's ridiculous. The easiest way to connect two lines is to move the road back up slightly south. They have also told us they can't build a wall because of electrical lines. Those lines have been in place for decades and decades. They weren't a problem in 2002 or for the several revisions over the last 20 years across different developers. The city has approved this wall with electrical right-of-way that was already there. So we simply don't believe them. What is clear to us is that they don't want to bother, and they are not going to until you help us make them. So here's what we would like from you. Realizing that this is our city, not Oakwood, and when we say ours, I mean yours too. Even though the Valley High is not technically in Aurora, we are your neighbor. We have lived in Aurora and owned property in Aurora, and we work in Aurora, and our influence of votes is in Aurora. So many of us have the dual citizenship, so to speak. You understand that you have the ability to influence Oakwood and do the right thing for the neighboring communities. They need to act on your words, not you acting on theirs. We know Aurora wants this developed for tax base. Many of us are small business owners, and we want to see the people living here so that we can have more customers come through our doors. But this is not the amateur hour of previous developers in the real estate market, as the real estate market is much hotter than in the past. Oakwood needs this land. Developers cannot find enough land these days, and you are not stuck with them. They are stuck with us. And you have leverage over them. Oakwood will not get this done, and Oakwood will not get this done, and there will be plenty of taxes and profits to be made by everyone involved. But remember, they need this land. Thank you.
Mayor.
Mayor Pro Tem.
I am the Ward 6 council member, and I have been working with, I think, Matthew Sparrow.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, so I am working with the planning department to look at this issue.
Okay,
Please
thank you.
proceed.
When,
Okay.
appreciate it.
Please
may I
proceed.
continue with my part? Or, okay. So,
Oh, no, we can't have you respond, but if you could, did you say you have a card for me?
no,
Mayor
I
Pro
have,
Tem.
my part of the
He
three.
has-
Oh, sorry, so sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, no worries.
Please start the clock over.
Okay. So, actually, that kind of changes what I was about to say. But the frustrating thing for us is that the building department has been making a lot of administrative decisions behind closed doors, and we would like to get that stopped. That's how the masonry mitigating wall was scrapped, and that may be how the road was moved south. We don't want to be finding out about these things in these WebEx meetings as done deals. Per Eric Gates's own words, the building department's job is to mitigate damage to the surrounding communities, but they're currently not doing that. Enforcing codes is the easy part. They need to mitigate the damage. When Oksana got cut off, she was going to read a quote from the city building department in the 1980s. They said, compatibility to all adjacent neighborhoods must be achieved. Greater buffering and transitional land use needs to be situated adjacent to the Travois subdivision for 200 to 500 foot depth in open space or estate lots. Same circumstance applies to the area adjacent to the Valley High subdivision. Overall density must be maintained below 3 dwelling units per acre. That's what they said in the 1980s. And then in 2002, they did this. And then 6 months ago, they took the wall away. It shouldn't be done that way. Please have them go back and read their case files 87-2036 and 88-2001, because it doesn't seem like they have. Next, I would address the city attorney about this. Sir, I didn't realize you were here at the meeting, but the 2002 plan appears to be in breach to everyone who's looked at it, including Oakwood's own attorneys. They don't argue differently. They just argue that what's done is done. We believe that the 2002 plan should be seen as null and void, and Oakwood shouldn't be working off that plan. But even if there's some sort of statute of limitation issue, you're the city council. You can do whatever you want. You can change it. Oakwood's own attorneys have argued that the city can do whatever it wants. So please change it. Realize that this can be a win-win. We just want to live in peace without that road right in our backyard. They just want to make money. We can do both. They had this figured out 35 years ago, and everyone was happy. The road can be moved north, and they can still make tons of money. There doesn't have to be any decrease in the number of homes they can build or effect on the golf course plan. So make them come up with another plan, please. There's no harm in doing that. They can do this very quickly and may actually be able to happy to do it if they can tweak their golf course a little bit. So make them do it. They're part of Berkshire Hathaway. They have all the money in the world, and they can pump out another plan on their CAD software, lickety-split. For example, they gave Shenango $30,000 just for the heck of it to reimburse them for an engineering study that Shenango had independently commissioned. Then they gave them all golf course memberships. Money is not an issue to these guys. Time is also not an issue. They have the time. They've delayed this numerous times themselves. Well, you get the point. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Consideration given.
Will the clerk now please read the title to item number 10A?
Mayor, we're not done with public invited.
Oh, sorry.
We have Susan Tabachek, followed by Zach Heaton.
Thank you.
Sorry, this takes me a minute. Okay, wait a minute. Hello, I'm Susan Tabachek, and I'm speaking on the transparency of the selection of the new police chief. None. I don't know if y'all, maybe there was the ability for the community to see all the candidates while I was in the hospital. I was in ICU for 3 weeks, so maybe you all had it at that time, I don't know. But the individuals who you all had, the leaders of Aurora come, they didn't represent me. The leaders of Aurora should represent everybody. And if you're going to do something as big as the chief of police, we should all be involved for the community to see all of the candidates. I mean, maybe it's going to take a little bit longer, but okay. They don't speak. I didn't see anybody who spoke for me. We seem to see the same leaders all the time. We need to open it up. So I believe that there should be diversity. I have 4 Filipino children I have raised here in Aurora. I have a black grandson, and I have a Korean black son-in-law. And I need diversity here because I have felt through them, and I have advocated, and I have gotten angry because of the way they have been treated in the past. Not all, I love my police, I think they're great, but we have a few that are not accessible to understanding diversity. We need diversity, and why not a diverse police chief? The ones I saw that y'all selected were all white. I mean, I can't believe y'all can't find 3 at least for the community to see, or 2 that are not white. And I don't have a problem because I'm white, and I don't have a problem with that. I was disowned because I have the 4 Filipino children. So I'm really adamant about this. And the other thing I wanted to tell you about, my car was stolen in front of, and y'all already know, in front of Office Depot. The police didn't come for 2 hours. Finally, somebody told us where it was. Police didn't come for 2 hours. I know we have shortness of police. But everything that happens to my family, the police never show up except for 2 to 6 hours. So we need a police chief who knows how to organize and to say, this is your area that you police, this is your area that you police, and this is your area that police. It seems chaos still. There doesn't seem to deviate. We all have to show up at this area because this is happening over here, this homicide or whatever. We all have to show up over here. I mean, thank you for listening to me, and I think you're great, and I appreciate all of you. Thank you.
Next, we have Zach Heaton, followed by Gladys Lewis.
Good evening, City Council. My name is Zach Heaton, and I'm a resident of Ward 4. At our last meeting, I spoke to you all about my experience at my first City Council meeting. I enjoyed myself so much that I figured I'd come back for round 2, where I could address you all and the city and the lovely community of Aurora. Before starting, please accept my deepest gratitude individually and collectively for your service to the community. The task of giving a voice to 400,000 people is daunting to say the least. September 25th was my second City Council meeting, and the biggest takeaway was a massive disconnect. I listened to other citizens speak before and after me, and a few of them stuck in my memory. Daryl Witherspoon, Ayanna Pierce, Robbie DeJune, and a few others who, I'm sorry to say I missed their names, brought real pleas before this council. Wherever those people are, I hope they heard some response from the council. If not, I want them to know that a neighbor heard their cries for help. The complaints brought before the council about car theft, black mold, distrust of the police are shocking, and there are things that you can do to actively help things to change. In the case of Mr. Witherspoon, a portion of the work is already started. I hear stories shared in the public comment then and even tonight, and I grow confused about the rest of the meeting. It seems like a series of resolutions that, if you pardon my transparency, nobody outside City Hall cares about. I'll clarify a bit more for the people who cannot attend. It was a 14-page packet of resolutions and agreements about water usage and spending that nearly requires a law degree to understand. If you're out in the community and you asked for the Hyatt Conference Center or the random golf course watering project we're all talking about, please come to the next meeting and counter my point. I hold myself liable to being wrong, but it would seem that black mold and public safety would be a bit more important than finding water for some grass. I'm not here to simply complain, and there are steps, like I said earlier, that you can take to help our city, not the plural. Creating and enforcing regulations on landlords that are charging $1,500 or more for apartments would be a great start. Building nonviolent relationships between the police and the community would be a great start. Advertising city council meetings and facilitating access to them would be another great start. My ask to city council is that you take note of the trust that has been placed in you by the community to actually help the community. My ask to the community listening right now is to come down and join the next meeting on October 23rd. The phone line here is not functional, and I speak for myself that it's hard to hear, and that static gives anyone a migraine. So come down to the podium and make your voice heard. You deserve it, your neighbors deserve it. Thank you all for your service to the community. I look forward to each meeting coming up to work on these issues. Have a great night, guys.
And the final speaker we have is Gladys Lewis.
My name is Gladys Lewis, and I live on Iola Street in Aurora. I'm here to represent my neighbors of that hood. This is a neighborhood between 6th Avenue and 4th Way. This section of Havana is part of the Colorado State Highway 30th. Over the past few years, we have had a number of traffic accidents. Cars have damaged our properties. Most of the accidents are car crashing through our privacy fences and coming to rest in our backyards. One home located on the corner of 4th Way and Havana has had more than 7 accidents in the past year, resulting in property damage in the past 2 years. A car crashed through the residence fence and into the brick home. The homeowner's child was sleeping in her room where the car crashed. We have been working with Council Ruben Medina, Carly Campuzano, CDOT. Our efforts have not resulted in any significant solution to the traffic dangers that we are facing. Initially, we contacted City of Aurora, and City of Aurora told us, we're not responsible, it's CDOT. We contacted CDOT and said, we're not responsible, it's City of Aurora, right? We're requesting decision makers with the City of Aurora and CDOT to help us resolve this situation by installing a wall, a guardrails before one of our children's, grandchildren of our elderly parents or a pet gets killed. So I hope I can get some help from someone because we're like extremely desperate.
Please send me your contact information as well. Is there any further public invited to be heard?
No.
Okay. Would the clerk now please read the title to item number 10A?
Mayor, we have to adopt the agenda.
I'm sorry?
We have to do adoption of the agenda.
Oh, yes. Motion for the adoption of the agenda.
Mayor?
Councilmember Coombs.
Yep. Move to adopt the agenda.
Moved by Councilmember Coombs, seconded by?
Mercano.
Seconded by Councilmember Mercado to adopt the agenda. Discussion? Seeing no discussion, the question before us is the adoption of the agenda. Call for the question.
Mayor Kaufman.
Mayor votes yes.
The motion passes to adopt the agenda.
The adoption of the consent calendar, item 10A through 10E.
Mayor,
Mayor Pro Tem.
Motion to approve 10A through 10E.
So moved by the Mayor Pro Tem, seconded by,
Sunburn.
I'm sorry, seconded by Councilmember Sundberg to approve the consent calendar, item number 10A to 10E. Discussion? Seeing no discussion, call for the question on the adoption of the consent calendar, item number 10A to 10E.
Mayor Kaufman.
Mayor votes yes.
The motion passes to adopt the consent calendar.
Will the clerk now please read the title to item number 11A?
Item 11A is Resolution 2022-189, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Aurora, Colorado, expressing its support of negotiating sister city agreement between the City of Aurora and the City of Ilopango, El Salvador.
Councilmember McConnell. A brief presentation by staff, or do you want to lead off?
Yeah, so I'll just say a couple of things real quick and then we'll hand it off to staff. So I'm very excited about this. This has been, my goodness, at least a year or more in the works. And this is part of the purpose that we went on a delegation that you led last year, Mayor, to El Salvador. And I'm excited to see that that trip has borne fruit. The folks who accompanied us with Salvadoreños Residiendo en Colorado have successfully formed a Sister Cities committee, and we are here tonight to cement the process for creating a Sister City relationship with Ilopango. So with that, I'll hand it off to Carlin and Ricardo.
Well, good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. We've all met and luckily spoken, and it's been a week since we did our presentation about the Sister City relationship with Ilopango. We asked that you consider this relationship, and we also wanted to open it up to if there were any additional questions before you consider the resolution. Thank you.
Questions to staff? Seeing none, a motion is in order.
Mayor?
Councilmember McConnell.
Thank you, sir. Move to approve 11A.
It's been moved by Councilmember McConnell, seconded by
Coombs.
Councilmember Coombs to approve item number 11A. Discussion? Seeing no further discussion, the question before us is the adoption of item number 11A. Call for the question.
The motion passes to adopt Resolution 2022-189.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Will the clerk now please read the title to item number 11B?
Item 11B is Resolution 2022-190, consideration of a resolution of the City Council of the City of Aurora, Colorado, creating the Housing Design and Review Task Force for the purpose of reviewing and making recommendations regarding housing design standards, zoning requirements, and other regulations that may be revised in order to reduce the cost of housing in the city.
I will give the gavel to the Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mayor. Would you like to introduce the resolution?
The purpose of this resolution is to create a housing design and review committee that will not be a standing committee, will be a temporary committee for the purpose of looking beyond the design and zoning guidelines to see what can be done in terms of affordable housing in both rental and for sale products, and working with industry leaders, both in the apartment construction business as well as single family and attached products, and everything from tiny home communities to single room occupancy buildings to manufactured homes and modular homes on smaller lots. So everything is essentially open for this, and the findings from this, if there are any recommendations from this, will then come to the Horns Committee.
Is there a motion?
Oh, I move. I move item number 11B.
And a second?
Marcano.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Discussion. Seeing no discussion, call for the question.
The motion passes to adopt Resolution 2022-190.
Procedural question in that I understand that item number 15A and 15D can be taken together as a single item because they had passed unanimously in the first reading. But do you have to read the title for each one?
No, Mayor.
Very well. A motion is in order for item number 15A to 15D.
Mayor.
Councilmember McConnell.
Thank you, sir. Move to approve 15A and 15B.
Moved by Councilmember McConnell, second by?
Murillo, second.
Second by Murillo to approve item number 15A through 15D. Discussion? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of item number 15A through 15D. Call for the question.
The motion passes to adopt ordinances items 15A through 15D.
The time is now 7:15. Council will stand in recess until 7:20 to give staff a time to do an announcement for the call-in line.
Members of the public who would like to speak on a resolution or ordinance that have not already spoken to an operator, press star 3 before the item is called by the clerk. For those watching on Channel 8, call 855-695-3475 to be connected, and then press star 3. Council is taking a short break to allow any additional speakers to sign up. Please be patient and stay on the line until the operator is able to take down your information. Thank you.
The regular meeting of the Aurora City Council is called to order. Will clerk now please do the title to item number 17A?
Item 17A is ordinance 2022-53, annexing a parcel of land located in the west half and the southwest quarter of the southeast quarter of Section 32, Township 3 South, Range 65 west of the 6th Principal Meridian, County of Adams, State of Colorado, Harvest Road Parcel A annexation.
A brief presentation by staff.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is finalization of the ordinances for the Harvest property annexation. Parcel A, a petition for annexation was filed with the city clerk for annexation of 161.9 acre parcel owned by Grimm Farms LLC. This parcel is located at the southeast corner of Harvest Road and 26th Avenue. Council made a finding of substantial compliance regarding this annexation on August 22nd, 2022. Again, this annexation process follows state law. Annexations are considered over 3 council meetings, this being tonight's agenda being the third in that process. This parcel falls within the annexation boundary for the city and meets contiguity requirements. The initial zoning ordinance will follow at the subsequent council meeting, I believe the last meeting of this month. We do have outside representatives here, but they do not have a separate presentation, so I'm happy to answer any questions.
Questions of the staff? Seeing none, a motion is in order.
Mayor,
Mayor Pro Tem.
motion to approve 17A.
It's moved by the Mayor Pro Tem, seconded by?
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember Lawson to approve item number 17A. Discussion?
Mayor,
Councilmember Coombs.
to the point that was made during public invited to be heard about a lot of these things not making a lot of sense and being very clear to folks, can you just give a brief description of why this is being brought before the council and what the purpose is of annexing the land and having 3 separate hearings or 3 separate presentations to council on?
Sure. So the council process follows state statute that lays out the process that's the 3 separate council meetings. And so part of that is the first one, we're presenting the petition to council for you to then set the public hearing, which we give you based on those state statute guidelines. The second being the ordinances, which are first reading of an ordinance, the third council meeting being the second reading of the ordinance and the annexation agreement. And so that is by motion of council. So it is part of that. So you'll see those tonight as well. These parcels, all 3 of these annexations here this evening, the Harvest Road as well as the 26th Avenue, these would be considered infill parcels from a staff standpoint. They're surrounded by infrastructure. They're well within the city's annexation boundary. And so it makes sense from a staff standpoint to annex these parcels because they're surrounded by city development and existing development patterns.
Further questions of staff?
Mayor.
Mayor Pro Tem.
And these would be primarily commercial?
Yes, all 3 of these annexations are commercial.
Okay, thank you.
Further questions? Seeing none, motion is in order.
I think I
Already
Did
did.
I already did that? Oh, boy, what a night. Further discussion? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of 17A. Call for the question.
The motion passes to adopt ordinance 2022-53.
Clerk, now please read the title to item number 17B.
Item 17B is ordinance 2022-54, annexing a parcel of land located in the west half and the southwest quarter of the southeast quarter of Section 32, Township 3 South, Range 65 west of the 6th Principal Meridian, County of Adams, State of Colorado, Harvest Road Parcel B annexation.
Brief presentation by staff.
This is the second parcel regarding the same annexation. So the prior presentation is still maintained for this parcel. Again, this is the second reading of this ordinance. This parcel is for 147.5 acres. Again, the parcels are separated out because the railroad separates those parcels. So happy to answer any questions. I've got outside reps here, but I'm happy to handle any questions.
Questions to staff? Seeing none, motion is in order.
Mayor,
Councilmember Coombs.
move to approve 17B.
It's moved by Councilmember Coombs, seconded by
Marcano.
Councilmember Marcano to approve item number 17B. Discussion? Seeing no discussion, call for the question on the adoption of item number 17B.
The motion passes to adopt ordinance 2022-54.
Clerk, now please read the title to item number 17C.
Item 17C is consideration of an annexation agreement between the City of Aurora, Colorado and Grimm Farms LLC for Harvest Road property annexation.
Brief presentation by staff.
Yeah, so this is associated with the Harvest Road property annexations that we just went over. That is, annexations as they come through that process are bound by an annexation agreement. That agreement we have a model template for, and this annexation follows that model template. So I'm happy to answer any questions about that.
Questions of staff? Motion is in order.
Mayor,
Mayor Pro Tem.
motion to approve 17C.
Moved by the Mayor Pro Tem, seconded by
Sundberg.
Councilmember Sundberg to approve item number 17C. Discussion? Seeing no discussion, call for the question on the adoption of item number 17C.
The motion passes to adopt item 17C.
Clerk, now please read the title to item number 17D.
Item 17D is ordinance 2022-55, annexing a parcel of land located in the southwest quarter of the Section 25, Township 3 South, Range 66 West of the 6th Principal Meridian, County of Adams, State of Colorado, 21861 East 26th Avenue annexation.
Brief presentation by staff.
Yeah, so this was a separate parcel petition that was filed for a 5-acre parcel owned by Jose Vasquez. This parcel is generally located east of Piccadilly Road and north of 26th Avenue. Council made a finding of substantial compliance regarding this annexation as well on August 22nd, 2022. The annexation process follows that same process over 3 council meetings. Tonight's agenda is the second ordinance reading, followed by the annexation agreement. Happy to answer any questions, and I do not have outside representatives for this item.
Questions of staff? Seeing none, motion is in order.
Mayor, I move to approve 17D.
It's moved by Councilmember Sundberg, seconded by
Second.
Councilmember Lawson to approve item number 17D. Discussion? Seeing no discussion, call for the question on the adoption of item number 17D.
The motion passes to adopt ordinance 2022-55.
Will clerk now please read the title to item number 17E?
Item 17E is consideration of an annexation agreement between the City of Aurora, Colorado and Jose Javier Vasquez, 21861 East 26th Avenue annexation.
Brief presentation by staff.
Yes, so this is in conjunction with the East 26th Avenue annexation ordinances that were just read, and this model also this annexation agreement also follows the city's model. Happy to answer any questions.
Questions of staff? Seeing none, motion is in order.
Mayor, I move to approve 17E.
It's moved by Councilmember Lawson, seconded by
Marcano.
Seconded by Councilmember Marcano to approve item number 17E. Discussion? Seeing no discussion, the question before us is the adoption of item number 17E. Call for the question.
The motion passes to adopt item 17E.
Will clerk please read the title to item number 19A?
19A, consideration to appoint 2 members to the Aurora Immigrant and Refugee Convention.
Motion?
Mayor,
Councilmember Coombs.
move to appoint Jusuwai Sawi and Benisha Shrestato to the Aurora Immigrant and Refugee Commission.
Second.
I'm sorry.
Second.
Moved by Councilmember Coombs, seconded by Mayor Pro Tem. Discussion?
Mayor,
Mayor Pro Tem.
I was glad that Councilmember Coombs had to pronounce their names.
Okay. Further discussion? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of item number 19A. Call for the question.
Mayor Kaufman.
Mayor votes yes.
The motion passes to adopt item 19A.
Reports. Report by the mayor. I have a town meeting at the Central Library at 2 o'clock to 3:30. this Saturday. We'll be updating efforts to reduce the crime rate. We'll be talking about restorative justice, and we'll be giving an update on road maintenance. Councilmember Lawson.
Thank you, Mayor. For the Federal, State, and Intergovernmental Relations Committee, Congress is on recess through the midterm elections before they return for a busy legislative stretch to the end of the year. One large item to address when they return is the omnibus appropriations bill. The city has 2 requests for Aurora Water and the MLK Library that are currently included in the House appropriations package and will be made into the final bill. Council has reviewed the draft state and federal priority documents as passed by Pfizer last month to provide additional feedback and priorities before the hearing. Will be at the next study session next week. We did go on the mission to San Antonio to look at the Haven for Hope facility for their unhoused populations, and I'm hoping, I guess we'll give more of a detailed report maybe at the study session next week, but it will be interesting to see what things we've take for both of which the other one in Houston I didn't go to, but went to that, and hopefully we'll give a more in-depth report and thoughts on that, and hopefully we can come up with some solutions for our city as well. That's all I have, Mayor.
Councilmember Jawinski.
I have no report.
Councilmember Zwanek.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Councilmember Lawson just mentioned the trip that we took last week to San Antonio to visit Haven for Hope, and I want to thank all of my colleagues who were able to join us. I do believe that there is a will on this council to do more and better than we are currently doing to address homelessness in the city, to ensure the safety of our residents and for those who are experiencing homelessness. And I believe that between the 3 different models that we've seen, and not all of us have been able to go to all of them, but between Colorado Springs, Houston, and San Antonio, we've seen that there is a better, more comprehensive approach to addressing homelessness than we currently are undertaking. And I believe that in the next week, I will bring forward a presentation at study session to discuss not only what we learned in San Antonio, but to give an overview of those various comprehensive approaches with an eye towards our bringing forward an Aurora solution, something that will work for our city and our residents. And I look forward to that conversation with my colleagues in the coming weeks and months. Thanks, Mayor.
Councilmember Murillo.
Thanks, Mayor Kaufman. Just an announcement of my monthly town hall, which will be on Thursday, October 27th at 6 p.m. And it will be at, the Moorhead Recreation Center, and will be a hybrid meeting. Thank you.
Councilmember Sundberg.
Thank you, Mayor. This morning I attended the Aurora Armed Forces Treatment Court graduation of a young man named Travis, who was 1 year sober. As a veteran, he experienced addiction and a crime, and he's 1 year sober, and his case is sealed. I got to see how there's other entities that come up alongside him, like Warrior Now, as a mentorship program, the Sturm Center of DU. It's very positive. At the end of the ceremony, a number of people gathered around, including the judge and Judge Day, and did 4-count military push-ups. And Mary, I'll have to tell you that my money might be on Judge Day to get you in push-ups. He actually did pretty well. Last week, I did a ride-along with Station 7 on their B crew. I was amazed at their professionalism and compassion, and it was exciting to go from call to call. I may have mentioned I went to APD's promotion and longevity ceremony 2 weeks ago, and the collective service of all of those is like 800, 900 years. I had previously mentioned my visit to the Historic Society, where I was presented with this coloring book and 24 pencils. Mayor, it'd be my honor if you would put this in your office. It's really well done. The KOA building, the Stanley Marketplace, the trolley, sir, you could, well worth the $10. Would you pass that down, please?
Not sure I can stay within the lines. But.
Additionally, I went on the San Antonio trip, and it's such a great amount of information. I'm still processing that, and it was very valuable. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Councilmember Medina.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I just have my last town hall will be Wednesday, November 2nd at the Active Adult Center, where we'll have a group that's doing a neighborhood safety work along Colfax Corridor on the Denver side. So they're going to present to our community on how they were doing it and how we can form that in our work. So thank you.
Councilmember McConnell.
Thank you, Mayor. So first, I also attended the trip to San Antonio. I think it was a very interesting mission that we went on, and I appreciated hearing from the folks who are running Haven of Hope, not just what is working for them, but more importantly, what has not worked for them in the past. So I'm hoping that we can take lessons from all the folks that we have spoken with, all the places that we have gone to, and come up with a solution that is humane, cost-effective, and delivers the results that I think all of our residents want to see. Our next Ward 4 meeting is going to be on Thursday, October 13th at 6:30 p.m. so that we're going to be discussing the city's Build Up Aurora plan for residential street repairs. Then we're going to discuss traffic calming strategies for collectors and arterials to make our streets more safer overall. And then we're going to talk about the city's upcoming restorative justice program. And that's going to be our last Ward 4 meeting for the year. It's a packed agenda. Hope to see you all there. I also wanted to mention that ballots go out next Monday, October 17th. And there's a lot for all of us to consider this year on our ballots, and your voice matters. So you can go to govotecolorado.com to ensure your registration is up to date, to check on the status of your ballot, and where you can drop it off. Have a great night.
Councilmember Combs.
Thank you, Mayor. So our next Ward 5 meeting will be on Tuesday, the 18th at 6 p.m. We will hear about the Restorative Justice Committee, the Restorative Justice Program, the road maintenance funding for neighborhood residential paving, and then we will have an open forum to discuss other issues of interest to folks. In terms of board reports, Mile High Behavioral Health Care had our board meeting last week, and we discussed significant growth in the organization, as well as some issues that we had been having getting Medicaid reimbursements and other accounts receivable. And so because of those significant budgetary issues, as well as that growth to the organization in a number of programs for behavioral health, for homeless services, and for LGBTQ services. We're going to be having a board workshop at the newly renovated Calumet facility for the organization in Denver, and that'll be on October 17th. And then we also did have a very successful fashion show supporting the Aspen Miracles program, which provides services for women recovering from addiction and their children. So they're able to care for their babies while they are receiving that support. It was an excellent event and very successful at raising money for the program. The Highline Canal Collaborative also had our meeting last week, and we discussed just the plan for the Highline, progress on the plan for the Highline, including multiple underpasses planned for the canal trail for the city of Aurora, as well as the changes from the canal being a primarily water infrastructure, stormwater infrastructure, to being primarily a recreational amenity of 71 miles of trails running throughout our region from Waterton Canyon all the way up to North Aurora. And then I did a rec center site visit at Meadowood with Parks and Rec Director Brooke Bell. We were able to look at the preschool program, which takes up a lot of the first floor of the building, and then also learned about the dance classes that are being held there 4 nights per week. So glad that we are using that facility for that programming, and looking forward to ways that we can continue to improve on the use of that facility moving forward. And I had a visit to Kalispell Park with a resident, as well as Lieutenant Paulino from District 3. And we discussed various safety issues happening in Pheasant Run, and the fact that a number of light poles have been knocked down around the park, leading to it being pretty dark and unsafe. So we talked about a lot of safety and community opportunities, and made some connections between some residents that are interested in Neighborhood Watch. So thank you all very much, and have a great night.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mayor. attended, or I actually interviewed the finalists for the police chief that followed the public engagement process or meetings. And I also attended the San Antonio, the tour of the Haven for Hope, the homeless campus that they had there. So they had some good things, but then they had some things I was very disappointed in. So it'd be interesting to, make comparisons as to what would be the best plan for the city of Aurora. I spoke to Cub Scouts Pack 1127 last week in the evening, and got a lot of questions from them. One of them was, how come they get so much homework? And I told them I could not change that. And then, of course, Saturday, all of us had the budget workshop from 8 to 5. So that's it for my report.
Thanks, everybody. Meeting adjourned.